make sure that we... No! What the fuck was that? I don't know what that was. Freaked me out, though. Okay. So I got the idea to do this video because... let's see, here we go. Ray Kilburn asked me about some Score Z cards because he says he played a lot of Pan Z, so he knows pretty much all the good Pan Z cards, and he wanted to know what specifically. He asked me about good black Score cards and about building I think Black Bojack. And so through talking, we got we talked about Majin Vegeta Cell Saga and Red Majin Buu Trunks Saga. So it gave me the idea that maybe other people don't know a bunch of the good Score Z cards, concepts, combos, etc. And so maybe the video is actually kind of useful to some people. So I just decided I would do it that way. So I think we can do this here, and it should make this bigger. Hey, I think that's a pretty good size. So what I've done here already is I've went ahead and removed the GT promos set, Lost Episode Saga, Shadow Dragon, GT cards. And I'm using the expanded database, the old expanded database I just happen to still have, instead of the Pan Z or the Fusion database, so that they won't be any Pan Z cards here. I won't have to filter them out, just make it easier. Anyone that doesn't know how to use Octagon filters, it'll make your life a whole lot easier. So, I mean, just to show you, you can just click set here, and then you decide that you don't want it to show you, you know, any Fusion Saga, so you just tell it Fusion Saga, and then you tell it exclude this set from search, boom, and then it will remove all the Fusion Saga cards. And if you don't want that change anymore, you just go and hit the X, and now all the Fusion Saga cards are back in the pool. So we're going to start with black. And the other thing is that you don't really want to try to use name, even though you could. You don't want to use name filtering and say, like, tell it to get rid of all the cards with red in the name, because for instance, then what would happen is if a card had the word scared in its card title, the word scared contains the word red, and so you would effectively remove that card. And I do believe there's definitely some instances of that. This is why I brought it up. So we're just going to go down and find our black pile here. Here we go. And I'm just going to run through them as far as what I think is good. Here we go. X power stages where X is equal the total anger of all players. So it's going to be max 8. Gonna say pass on it, you know, like, especially when, like, if there was only one set, right, I would have a whole different opinion on what these cards are, what they can do and stuff. But when you have all this stuff to choose from, if something doesn't give you exactly what you want, you need to just pass on it and find something that gives you what you want to further your win condition. So I don't really like drills, but I suppose you could run that if it were useful to you, if you don't have any energy defense in your deck or something. I don't know. Armbar, stop the first energy attack made on unit combat. Can't be used with any other orange drills in play. That was silly back in the game was starting out. If successful, gain 3 power stages. Meh, kind of like it. Stops energy attack, raise your anger. A lot of the early ones are going to suck. Physical attack doing +2 power stage damage for each non-combat card your opponent has in play. Lower your opponent's anger 1 level. And see, like, anger used to be really, really good because the game used to really consist of pretty much like a rock, paper, scissors based class thing, almost like Pokemon with fire, water, and grass, pretty much. But the except with it being like you if you the basic deck was that you just do power stages, right? If you play all physical attacks, right? And so if you play all physical attacks, the first thing is that you'll never need to spend stages to play an attack. Basically, some physical attacks cost stages, I'm pretty sure, but you should pretty much never need to spend stages so that even if you're at 0 stages and you play a card for +4, you will still do for +4 damage, and then that's pretty good. So then there's energies, and well, actually, I suppose I should go to. Then there's allies, and allies were basically the counter to physical decks. If someone ran a lot of physicals and you had a bunch of allies, you are going to just be able to direct their physicals to your allies' free power stages, even if you don't actually use your allies for anything. They just block all the physicals, and on every power-up step, you gain a decent amount of power-up rating because every ally powered up. So you would effectively just not take damage from physical attacks. You would always have a personality that could eat the hit for you, unless it was a physical attack that's damage was scaled in life cards already. So when you go from there, then energies is the next thing, because energies allow you to just hit life cards and ignore the physical attack table. So allies don't really beat energies, unless it's like an ally attack deck, and that can be brutal. But for the most part, this is just to keep it simple. And then if you play energies, you lose to physicals, because the other guy hits you with physicals over and over and over again, and you can't really ever have enough power stages to cast an energy. So it's that's pretty much how the game is supposed to be balanced. And what Pan Z did, I don't know. I mean, I do have a, pretty, I wouldn't say a pretty decent, honestly, compared to my other endeavors in games, but I've got a a mild chunk of Pan Z cards, and it just wasn't as interesting for me because it's like a game where you don't have stylized classes, right? It's like what Magic the Gathering would be if they decided that like green wasn't very strong, so it should have counter spells, or and then white should be able to burn people. Like all of a sudden, it's not special that blue has counter spells anymore, and it's not special that red has burn spells anymore, because everyone has like their own way to deal with everything, and I don't really like that kind of balance. I like the kind of balance where you aren't necessarily supposed to be able to beat every opponent, but there are decks that you'll be very good against and decks that you'll be very bad against. So yeah, tangent, and now back to the card list. That's where we're coming from, is that if you don't have the ability to like do what you want with cards, you just pass on them, like I said before. So yeah, raise anger level 1. I don't know. I guess maybe they didn't have where like red was the anger deck yet. Lower your opponent's anger, and blue is supposed to be the one that has all the lower your anger cards, but they kind of did it here too. Like, and the decks that were most successful were like, I don't think I ever saw this played in any black deck, because black is like all about discarding. So, what do you call it? So, yeah, your black is all about discarding. So you want to have as many discards in your attacks as possible. Yeah, so that's not good, And 3 power stages damage, stops focus energy attack, removed from game after use. I actually do like these cards, because this is the next best thing to a discard. This is not having to devote 2 cards to where they have to devote 2 cards, meaning where if the other guy has an attack or a block in his hand, you deal with it regardless, like, because you have a card that is an attack and a block. So I think this is very good. Cards that do this. Black Backstab. 2 life cards if successful in either Namek Ball 4 or Ball 5 is in play. Search your life deck for Namek Ball. Place it. Nah. Bear Hug Drill creates +2 stage. What the fuck? Goddamn Saiyan Saga wordings. So yeah, that is supposed to read any physical attacks you perform do +2 power stages of damage. I don't know what kind of crack the translators were smoking or whoever they fucking wrote that shit. Physical attack doing +4 power stages of damage in power 2. If successful, look at your opponent's hand, discard any non-combat cards in his hand. I like this, especially into drill decks, you know, and decks that run a lot of setups for their shenanigans. I mean, that's pretty savage. Back in the day, if I were running a drill deck and you entered on me, it really sucks when you get entered on and you draw nothing but drills, because if you don't have a Guardian Drill, you can't play one from your hand. But you're at least like, okay, well, at least I'm going to have something I need next turn. You play this, opponent is officially tilted. Like, that is all there is to that. Black Big Bang, if I remember correctly, this is okay. Oh, no, yeah, this is a counter to somebody running Namekian Regen, is what this is. If somebody runs Namekian and has a lot of regen, you sensei this in. And, yeah, if you're playing black and they're playing Namekian, it does +10 life cards and is shoveled into your deck after use. Not broken. Black Blasting Beam. If you declare it to quit while as a personality from its attack is at 0 power stages, it does +2. Nah, pass. Black Body Destruction. Holy fuck, this card is broken. It's exactly what I said about that other earlier card, but it is like better in every way, and you can have both of them. So why wouldn't you? Doing +4 power stages of damage or it can stop a physical attack. Regardless of if you use it for its +4 physical attack or to block a physical attack, it says if you declare it to Quawaza, which you have to in Fusion format, so that you can completely ignore that line. Discard a random card from your opponent's hand and remove from game after use. So, yeah, very good. Black Buffer Block. This card is fucking broken. Pretty much every black deck should have this card. Stops a physical or energy attack. Search your discard pile for a card that discards a card from your opponent's hand and place it into your hand. Remove from the game after use. So, you know, you take some damage. Black Body Destruction goes into the graveyard. They attack. You black buffer block on a later turn. You know, you get your Black Body Destruction back. If they attack again, or you could just play your Black Body Destruction right after, or you could save it. If they attack again, you can block with Black Body Destruction, make them discard a card. But the great thing about black is that if, like, just assuming that you draw 3 cards on your first turn and then you enter, and then they have 3 cards in hand, so it's a completely even hand, right? And so black should basically go something like this, right? And I fucking hate this style, to be quite honest. I really do. Black should basically go something like this. I play a card from hand, and you discard a card. So now we both have 2 cards in hand. You play a card from hand, and I block, and you discard a card. Even if I don't block, you play a card from hand, I eat the hit, I play an attack, and you discard a card. So you got to play 2 cards, and I'm going to get to play 3 this combat. That's black. Supposing that you entered on me, okay, and I'm got 3 cards. I draw 3 cards. You have the 3 that you started the game with. You would attack. I would block, and you would discard a card. You now only have 1 card left, and I have 2. Now, if I attack and you discard a card, you have no cards left. And I'm not sure how it works. I think secondary effects have to be done before you even get to block. So that means, for instance, that Black Body Destruction. If the only card you have in hand is a block, and I play this, you have to discard your block, and now you can't block. So this style is fucking stupid. I'm not sure what it is about it. I think that maybe it's just like not aesthetically pleasing to some people. Only people who get into competitive like ever really play black. People who want to win play black. Other people, they're just like, oh, I want to play Saiyan Vegeta. Oh, I want to play, you know, whatever the fuck kind of like color deck something from the story that kind of like has like symbols going on in the deck build is what people tend to go. They don't want to go, but black is fucking insane. +3, you declared black and your opponent declared Namekian, it does an additional 3. Okay, so this is like the other thing, but not as good. Chaos Detonation. Energy attack costs 3 stages. If successful, your opponent discards 2 cards from hand. Fucking stupid. That is absolutely fucking stupid. That should be in every deck right there. Like, Black Chokehold. I mean, and mind you, I don't know the Pan-Z cards as well as the next guy. So, there might be some of these cards where I'm like, oh my god, it's so fucking stupid. Why, you know, and you might know that there's a Pan-Z card that is either better than that or maybe is even errated to be that. Because I don't keep up on the changes anymore. It just happens way too frequently. I figure I'll wait for it to kind of like settle at some point, and then I'll just relearn all the stuff that's different from the last time I played. Black Chokehold. Doing 4 power stages damage. You can use this card to stop physical or energy attack instead by removing 3 rares in your discard pile from the game. Okay, so yeah, it's okay, pretty decent. It has that ability that I said before, because it's the same thing as if I have a thing that can also block an attack, it allows me to be a lot more freely with the cards that how I want to play them and deny you the ability to play your cards, like I said about black. No, I don't really like that. Whenever you perform an attack, choose a card in your hand, and they shuffle it, and then they draw a card. Nah. Whenever you stop an attack, you may place... Nah. I don't really like drills. Unless it says discard a card somewhere on it, you don't really want to run it. And it's like most drills aren't going to give you something that good. Black Dark Energy does 5 life cards. Choose any cards in your hand and shuffle them into your life deck and draw an amount of cards equal to the amount. That's pretty good if your hand is fucking you over somehow. But I wouldn't really say it's a must run or anything, but it could be pretty good. That's supposed to read prevent 1 life card from all successful energy attacks performed against you is what it's supposed to read. Black Defensive Burst. I mean, yeah, that's pretty fucking good. I would say that's worth running. It's like a Super Saiyan effect. It does not stop their physical attacks. They can't even play them from their hand. I'm sure most of the people who are watching this video will already understand the difference, and I don't actually need to explain that. Stop a physical or energy attack. If you did not declare, but that doesn't matter because you have to declare. So it's just an Omni block. Stop an opponent's physical or energy attack. Costs 1 power stage to perform. What the fuck? Black Disarray Drill. Sensei deck only. Usually Sensei deck only cards tend to be really, really good in Score Z because the ideal behind it is that these, like, if you're going to run Dragon Balls, you shouldn't be able to use Sensei deck only cards without having to take a chance that you will take one of your Dragon Balls out of your deck so that you... just to limit what's possible so that you can't just run all the good stuff. But if you run nothing but a bunch of black attacks that all do the same stuff as your really good Sensei cards anyway, just not as potent, then you're not really taking a loss for Senseiing. When your opponent would discard any number of cards from his hand because of card effects, the cards are discarded at random instead. Kinda good. It's definitely tilting because they don't get to choose to discard the one that they want. Like, oh well, I'll just throw this thing away. I don't even need, you know, it really savage when you got 4 cards in hand, 2 of them aren't attacks or blocks, and 2 of them are, and they don't get to choose to throw one of the useless ones. They just have to sit there and hold it and look at it the whole time. Oh my god, tilting. So doing 3 life cards of damage, physical attack, successful. Discard all non-combat cards in play, if successful. So that could be good, especially if you're not running setups or drills, which I would probably recommend against. Energy attack, doing 5 life cards of damage, and power 2. All allies lose 3 power stages to a minimum of 0. Anti-ally. Other than that, but see, you don't really need that anymore because in Pan-Z there's the criticals, and that's what I mean. Like, every deck can now counter allies, and you're not really supposed to be able to counter allies with every deck. But yeah, I like it. I like it, and I don't. You know, you're not supposed to be able to counter anger with every deck. It kind of just makes it not as special, and makes the game all about beatdown, since you can counter anger and allies by just doing damage. Yeah. Stop an energy attack. Raise your anger 1 level. Meh. All your physical attacks do +2 power stages of damage and cannot be redirected to allies. Meh. Physical attack doing 3 power stages of damage. If you declared, raise your main personality 5 power stages. I kind of like that. That can be useful. Maybe not run 3. Maybe, I don't know, but maybe not run it at all. But it could be useful. Oh. Yeah, okay, that's where we are. 4 stages of damage. Meh. 2 stages. Raise your anger 1 level lower. Meh. Black drop kick. I think I remember this one being good. Focus physical attack doing 3 power stages. If successful, your opponent must discard a card from his hand. Discard cards from his hand until he has 2 or fewer cards in his hand. This is savage against decks that draw a lot of cards, obviously. You know, I'm going to talk about Saiyan, Cell Saga, Vegeta later, just because I know that, like, that's a simple deck that a lot of people aren't aware of because they just didn't play Score Z. And for instance, I think the Saiyan Empowered Mastery, which, like, everybody loves, I guess, I don't know. But it's basically just a rewording of or a rework, I should say, of the Majin Buu Saga Saiyan Mastery. And when I started playing the game, I had a lot of cards, but I didn't actually get any masteries. Until I wasn't into playing mastery decks until Buu Saga, and I started playing because of that Saiyan Saga Master, or Saiyan, Buu Saga Saiyan Mastery, and then I played somebody who had the Cell Saga Saiyan style Mastery, and I was like, oh my god, it's so good, and yeah, everybody knows the story from there. Guy draws 11 cards, you know, to try to blow you up. Boom, take that, asshole. I can't remember. There's some card that says if you play this, your if successful effect becomes. No, wait, I don't think that's it. I think it's actually that you can make secondary effects become if successful effects. So yeah, I'm wrong. Don't worry about that. Black Duck, physical attack, gain 10 power stages. If they declared it orange. Wait. Oh, so you gain 10 power stages regardless. There's a period there that you can't really see. Yeah. Gain 10 power stages. Pretty fucking good. If you're against physicals especially, yeah. It's essentially a fucking Pycon's leg catch. Stops physical attack. Your opponent's main personality loses 1 power. Yeah, meh. Meh. Energy attack costs 3 stages. If successful, discard a card from your hand. If you do, your opponent must choose to either discard a card at random from his hand or lose 4 power stages. That can be pretty good sometimes. It does not say to a minimum of 0 on the card. I do not know if it has been errated, but if it does not say to a minimum of 0, then they can actually burn life cards if they are at 0. Energy attack, doing 4 power stages of damage. Costs 2 power stages to perform. Successful, also gain 4 power stages. Meh. Okay, so I think what this is supposed to say is that energy attacks that you perform cost a maximum of 1 power stage. This is pretty good regardless. Omni block, if he has 3 or more anger, discard a card from his hand. You could manipulate this with cards that allow you to raise your opponent's anger. I think maybe one of them was just back before there. I don't know though. Energy Swirl, Savageness. 5 life cards. If you declared black, name a word that is not a martial arts style and raise your anger 2 levels. For the remainder of combat, your opponent cannot play any cards with the named word in the title. Fucking savage. Energy Web. Energy attack, 6 life cards. If successful, perform or stops an opponent from performing any energy attacks for the remainder of combat. This is just like that thing with the physicals. That's really fucking good, in my opinion. It basically says it takes aggro decks that want to run nothing but attacks, this and that other card. If they want to run nothing but attacks, okay, that's what it says. Yeah, bring it on, bitch, you know. Black Eradication. I would say we probably want to run this on general principle just because it's a Bojack Unbound subset and he's in the card art even though he's getting owned. 4 power stages of damage. If successful and you declared, your opponent declared freestyle, your opponent discards all cards in his hand. So that's nifty as a Sensei deck card. After making a successful energy attack, remove from the game an opponent's non-combat, non-Dragon Ball card in play. So that means a setup or a drill. Limit 1. Oh, this is a good one. Energy attack empowers for 3. If you choose not to empower, then it says attach this card to your opponent's main personality while attached, and the attached personality is in control of combat. Damage from your attacks cannot be prevented. That includes endurance or anything else that says you take less damage. Energy attack if successful, this one, meh. Black Face Crush. Doing 3 stages of damage, plus 3 stages of damage. You may remove a black 4-fist punch in your discard pile from the game. If you do, raise your anger 2 levels, and for the remainder of combat, prevent 3 power stages of damage from every attack your opponent performs. Kind of meh. There's probably some fucking niche situations where that's okay. One of which would be you're running black 4-fist punch in your deck, which I don't think black 4-fist punch is very good. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got that. Maybe I'm remembering a different card with that title. Focused physical attack, doing plus 2 power stage of damage. If successful, choose 1 card at random from your opponent's hand and have him discard it. Yeah, like we've already said, that's good. Physical attack, doing plus 3 power stages of damage. Power 2 if you declared, and your opponent declared Namekian. Remove the bottom 8 cards of his life deck from the game. There's a lot of savage Namekian counters in black. Black Fatality, energy attack, doing 5. Raise your anger 1 level. Black Finger Block stops a physical attack. Your main personality gains 3 power stages. Kind of meh compared to that other one. It's like a Pycon's Leg Catch. Sensei deck stops a physical attack if you declared Takoiwaza. Your opponent declared an orange. Discard 2 non-combat cards in play. Kind of meh. Physical attack doing plus 4 power stage of damage. Stops physical attack. If used by a personality with Kai or Popo in the title, this card can also stop an energy attack. Physical attack doing plus 2 power stages of damage. Remove the top 3 cards in your opponent's discard pile from the game. Discard removal, I think, is a little bit underrated in this game. So, I mean, that can be good. Energy attack doing 6 life cards and 3 power stages to a minimum of 0. Black Four Fist Punch is actually pretty fucking good. Even though it doesn't discard a card. Black Forearm Block, meh. Draw a card from the bottom of your discard pile after receiving a successful energy attack. Cannot be used with any other black drill cards. Meh. I mean, yeah, if you get hit by an energy, you get to draw a bottom discard, but shouldn't really care about that too much. Energy attack doing 5 life cards and costing 4 power stages. Yuck. Who the fuck ever would run that? Black Front Punch. Physical attack doing +3 power stages of damage. For the remainder of combat, you may remove from the game any 2 cards in your Sensei deck during the attacker attacks phase to remove one of your opponent's drills in play. From the game is what it should say. Black Gambit. Use when entering combat. Reveal your hand to your opponent. If at least 3 cards in your hand are black style cards, attach this card to your main personality. While attached, you may discard a card from your hand during your attacker attacks phase to discard one of your opponent's non-combat ally or battleground cards in play. Kind of meh. Maybe kind of good, but not really. It was excellent. The Gambit cards were crazy when they first came out. Black Gravity Drop. Physical attack doing +3 power stages of damage. If you declared and your opponent was Namekian, then for the remainder of combat, life cards of damage from your attack are removed from the game instead of discarded. Black Groveling Drill. This is one of the colorless colored drills, I guess you call it. It can be ran in any deck. Doesn't count as a color, even though it has black in the name, but also counts as black. Black Gut Wrench. Physical attack doing +4 power of damage. If you declared, choose a card at random in your opponent's hand. Your opponent shuffles that into his life deck and draws a card. Meh. Black Hand. Energy Blast. Energy attack doing 3 life cards of damage. Declared, and the attack also does 2 stages. Meh. Black Head Crush. 5 stages. You may discard one of your non-combat cards in play to discard 2 of your opponent's non-combat cards in play. Meh. Black Head Strike. 2 life cards of damage. If Chaosu is anywhere in play, does 3 life cards instead. Meh. Heroic Sidekick. 4 power stages of damage. If your opponent's main personality is Majin, stays on the table to be used 1 more time as combat. Black High Kick. Physical attack does +2 life cards of damage for each Dragon Ball you control. Meh. Physical attack. Raise your anger 2 levels. If your Dragon Ball 6 is in play, raise 3 levels instead. Meh. We pretty much should probably skip all the early cards because they just seem to be about black anger. Like, fuck. Black Impressive Slap. Focus physical attack doing +3 power stage damage. If Namekian Dragon Ball 4 is in play, your opponent must discard 2 cards from his hand. You want it to be good, but I don't think that's very good. Black Jaw Hammer. If you discard this card for your Black Style Mastery, place this card at the bottom of your life deck instead. Physical attack doing +3 power stages of damage. Raise your anger 1 level, lower your opponent's anger 1 level. Physical attack and +3 power stage of damage. Attached to your opponent's main personality. While attached, all attacks performed against that personality do +2 power stages of damage. Discard this card when an attached personality reaches its highest power stage. It's pretty good. It's pretty fucking good. I hate when I get hit with that motherfucker. I tell you what. Black Jump Kick. Physical attack doing +1 life card of damage and 1 power stage of damage. Oh, no, not +1. 1. Does 1 and 1, and if successful, you declared, then remove the bottom 5 cards in your opponent's discard pile from the game. 6 cards. Meh. Jump, turn, kick, energy attack, raise your anger 1, meh. Karmic strike, doing +3 stages. If your opponent performed a successful physical attack in his previous attack or attack space, any power stages of damage this attack deals are life cards of damage instead. If successful and you declared, then look at the top 6 cards of your opponent's life deck and place them back in any order. Black Knife Hand, energy attack doing 4 life cards, or stops any energy attack. Kind of okay. Doing +4 power stages of damage. If successful and you declared then discard a non-combat card and play. Meh. That's a fucking sweet promo. Doing 3 life cards of damage. Raise your anger 1 level. Meh. Top X cards of his life deck, where X is your main personality's power up rating. Meh. Doing 5 life cards of damage. If Fidel is in play, remove the top 5 cards of your opponent's discard pile from the game. Meh. Black Mischievous Drill. This is like the one drill that's kind of like worth, yeah. If you declared, then whenever he plays a setup, you may, well, no, a non-combat means a setup or a drill, technically. Whenever he plays a setup or a drill, you may discard the top 5 cards of your life deck to remove that setup or drill from the game. Your opponent may not use that setup or drill. Limit 1 per deck. So, yeah, that's pretty good. If they play something that you just absolutely cannot allow them to have, or it will totally lose the game for you, then yeah, you sacrifice 5 cards and they can't have it. It makes you really, really angry when it works. 3 stages for the remainder of combat until your opponent plays Black Misguiding Punch, whichever happens first. When your opponent searches your life deck for discard pile for a card, you may search and choose the cards instead of your opponent. Yeah, that's good against tutor decks, I suppose. Black attack, or physical attack, doing 3 life cards of damage, raise your anger 1 level, meh. Physical attack, if successful, stops the next attack your opponent performs against you this combat. Pretty decent. I mean, yeah, it doesn't let you discard a card, but it just goes ahead and negates the very next one they play. So it's pretty good. And most of the ones cost you, they cost you the attack, and this one you get the attack. Black Overhead Smack. Plus power stages of damage. If successful, your opponent shuffles his hand into his life deck and then draws the same number of cards. Yeah, I don't like that. You're playing with God at that point. Physical attack, doing +6 power stages of damage. You may not perform any physical attacks for the remainder of combat. So, it can be good as your very last one. Endurance equals the number of Dragon Balls you control. Anytime you see something that says equals the number of Dragon Balls you control, you should probably just go ahead and move on. Unless you're wanting to play like some type of casual deck where you want to run Dragon Balls and a bunch of stuff where X is equal to the number of Dragon Balls you control. But like, that'll never work against somebody who's trying to win the game. If your opponent has no drills in play, your attacks gain. If successful, your opponent discards the top 3 cards of his life deck for the remainder of combat. Wow. However, that effect right there is so pretty good. If he has no drills, because you could kill his drills with your cards too. If you just made sure that you ran a bunch of the cards that let you get rid of drills, or you had enough, it can be done. Stops an energy attack. Shuffle 3 black cards in your discard pile into your life deck. It's pretty good. Black personal smack. Another X is the number of Dragon Balls you control, endurance. And does 5 power stages, raise your anger 1 level. If your opponent has no non-combat cards in play, which would be setups, your attacks gain, raise either your or your opponent's anger 1 level for the remainder of combat. That's kind of a meh. Black physical drill allows the defender to take 1 less life card from physical attacks. Meh. Physical attack. When you perform this attack, pay any amount of power stages from your main personality. For each power stage you pay, do +1 power stage of damage. Could be good for certain applications. Physical attack, doing +3 power stages of damage. Discard 1 of your opponent's non-combats or allies in play, unless your opponent discards a card from his hand when you perform this attack. Remove an additional non-combat or ally from the game. Okay. Black point blank Kamehameha. Energy attack, doing 5 life cards. If you declared and they are orange, you get +3 stages. Black power catch, stop physical attack. If you declared and your opponent did not, which they always will, so you will never get that effect. Black power punch, just does 4 stages. Raise personality to the highest power stage. You may also end combat. I guess it could be good if you needed a combat ender. Maybe run 1, 2, I don't know. Black preparation, focus energy if you successful raising. Meh. Black protection orb. Stops the energy attack if you declared. Then for the remainder of combat during your defender defense phase, you may remove 2 from your sensei deck to stop an energy attack. Could be okay. Limit 1. Physical attack, doing 3 life cards of damage. If your opponent declared and has used a combat card earlier this combat, your opponent cannot play combat cards that do not stop attacks until the end of your turn. Raise your anger 1 level. Endurance X, where X is your current anger level, doing 3 life cards of damage. If your opponent has no non-combat cards in play, your attacks gain. If successful, your opponent's main personality loses 3 stages. Kind of meh. Quick kick, quick strike. Bah. Physical attack, doing 3 power stages of damage and 2 life cards of damage. And if used by a Hercule, it stays on the table to be used 1 more time. Stop energy attack, raise your anger 1. Meh. Stop energy attack. If you declared, then you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, choose 1 card at random from your opponent's hand and have him discard it. Can be good. Use only if you performed a successful physical attack in your last attack or attacks phases combat. Stops a physical attack. If you declared, then for the remainder of combat, stops all physical attacks performing by your opponent. Limit 1. Pretty good. Black reversal strike. Physical attack, doing +5 power stages of damage. Lower your opponent's anger 1 level. Meh. Wonder how many black cards are left. It's like taking longer than I thought it would. Not too many. I guess we're like halfway through. So I think we're going to look at these black cards and probably the Bojack personalities, and I might chop it off here so I can play some League of Legends, and then I'll come back later and do some more. I'll probably just go over all the styles and what's good and what's not. Just have them in a series of videos, I suppose, instead of one. It doesn't help that I don't remember. Like, I didn't play Black very much, so I don't actually remember the good cards from it. I was usually cursing the guy across the table because I was one of those casual players. Where was I at? Oh yeah, lower anger 1. Yeah. Meh. Villains only. That's fucking good. If you're playing villains, we're talking about building Black Bojack. This right here only does +2 stages, and it has Empower 3, and if you don't empower it, then they just have to discard a card at random. Savage. Royal Flush Drill. Stops the first physical or energy attack if your anger is 3 or higher. Meh. Black Scout Maneuver. So here's a good time to talk about Score Z and how it applies to Fusion, because I don't know if how this works. Maybe this is a spiritual successor and you can't even run this. So it used to be a black card. Name any combat, physical combat, or energy combat card. All your opponents must search their life decks for all copies of that card and remove them from the game. Remove from game after use. They reprinted it because that was fucking broken. And it says this is not a black style card. Just so that you know that anybody can run this card. Name any combat, physical combat, energy combat card. All your opponents must search their life decks for all copies of that card and remove them from the game unless you declared a black mastery limit 2 per deck. So that's what this card actually reads, and there's this version. So even if you choose to put this card in your deck, this is what it counts as. If you declared, then search your opponent's life deck for 2 non-Dragon Ball cards and remove them from the game. Man, it's non-combat. Oh, you know what? I should have put these in order so that I just fucking skip the non-combats. That's what the problem is. Okay, well, I'll just kind of just jump past them. Look at your opponent's hand. Your opponent skips his next attack or attacks phase. The next attack you perform does 2 life cards of damage. Extra. Meh. Shadow Drill. Meh. Shift Kick, doing +4 power stages damage, stops an energy attack in your opponent's next attack or attacks phase. Place the bottom 2 cards of your discard pile at the bottom of your life deck. Stops the first time. Stop physical. Meh. 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 This is okay. I like this. Even though you don't get to discard it out of their hand, you get to discard it out of their deck. It's almost as good. Physical attack, +3 power stages of damage. Name a non-Dragon Ball card. Search your opponent's life deck for 1 copy of that card and discard it. Black Smackdown. +3 power stages. If you declared and your opponent has a battleground or location in play, this attack cannot be stopped. I don't remember what the rule is for this. If you get to infusion, if you get to keep 2 cards or not at the end of the game, or at the end of the turn. If you don't get to keep 2 cards, then this is busted. And if you do get to keep 2 cards, then this is useless. Three stages of damage. If successful, or attached to one of your opponent's non-combats in play. While attached, the non-combat card cannot be used. It's okay. Decent tech. Physical attack, doing +4 power to damage, lower your opponent's anger 1 level. If successful, place 3 cards from your discard pile with the word kick in the title on the top of your life deck and remove this card from the game. Meh. Physical attack, also if successful, no other physical combat cards can be played for the rest of this combat. That includes you. So that can be good as long as you're not cutting your own nuts with it, which you probably will be because there aren't very many black energy attacks that discard cards. So physical attack, doing +3 power to damage. For the remainder of combat, all your cards with endurance have endurance increased by 2. Lower your opponent's anger 2 levels. Energy attack, doing 2 life cards of damage, 2 power stages. Do +2 power stage damage on each physical attack. Fuck it. Black, studying, drill, entering combat, draw a card, then choose a card from your hand and place it on top of your life deck. Can be useful. Old black style mastery. Because I don't know what the ones in Pansy really do. Once per combat, in place of an attack, you may discard a card from your hand. If that card is a black style card, discard a card at random from your opponent's hand. If your discard is not a black style card, your opponent chooses and discards a card. So yeah, there's that one. All your successful attacks do +1 life card and +2 power stages of damage. Black style attacks do +2 life cards and +2 power stages of damage instead. This one is better than you would realize. Like people don't understand how good this is. Like all your black energy attacks that don't critical, basically automatically become critical with this. You know, it's so dumb. Your black style non-drill cards that can stop attacks can also stop focus attacks. You may discard a black style card from your hand during your attack or attack phase to raise your anger 1 level and have a main personality gain 6 power stages. All of your attacks gain, if successful, discard a drill in play. All of your black style attacks gain, or black style physical attacks gain, if successful, you may discard a non-combat card instead. Black super kick, doing +10 power stages of damage. This must be the first card you use during combat. If successful, you cannot perform physical attacks for the remainder of combat. If stopped, discard the top 5 cards of your life deck. So you should pretty much never run that ever. Black surprise maneuver, physical attack doing +4 power stages of damage. If your opponent controls 3 or more Dragon Balls, capture a Dragon Ball. Kind of meh. Here's a toy promo. Let's see, because those are sometimes good. Doing +3 power stages of damage. If successful, your opponent discards a card from his hand. Yeah, pretty good. Black swerve. Physical doing +3. Choose up to 2 of your opponent's non-combat cards in play and search your opponent's life deck for all copies of the chosen cards and remove them from the game. Remove from game after use. It's okay. Black Swift Elbow Strike. Physical attack, if successful, this card also stops all energy attacks for the rest of this combat. That counts for your energy attacks as well. Black Swivel Attack. Physical attack doing +3 power stages of damage. Your opponent must remove from the game 1 non-Dragon Ball card in his hand. If your opponent has only Dragon Balls in his hand, he must show you his hand. Yeah, they don't just discard a card, they remove it from the game. That's pretty fucking good. Black Takedown Drill. I do believe this is errata to once per game. But I don't know what the errata for it is in Fusion format. So yeah, if you can play an attack from your hand, you draw a card. Your opponent discards 2 cards from the top of his life deck for each anger level he is above 0. If you declared, you may have your opponent shuffle his hand into his life deck and then draw the same number of cards. Black Thought Focus. You may use this card when you discard a card for your Cell Saga Black Style Mastery. Your opponent chooses a card in his hand to be discarded before the mastery discards one of his cards. So it basically makes them discard an additional card. pretty savage. Black transformation. Omni block plus gain 1 anger. Black triple team. Physical attack doing 2 power stages. Cost 1 to perform. If you did not declare, this attack can be used 2 more times as combat. If stopped, raise your main personality to its higher power stage. Energy for 5 life. Or stops a physical. Regain 1 anger. Lower your opponent's anger 1 level. Energy attack. Meh. Black uppercut. Does plus 3 power stages damage. Raise your anger 1 level. If successful, end any of your opponent's floating effects that do not stop attacks and that last for the remainder of combat. Stops a physical attack. Your next attack deals plus 4 life cards of damage in this combat. Physical attack doing plus 4 power stages of damage. If this attack is performed against Imagine, to discard 1 of your opponent's drills in play and raise your anger 1 level. Oh, and we're down to Blackwater Confusion Drill. Oh, nope, we're not out of black yet. At the beginning of each discard step, your main personality may pay 1 power stage to make your opponent discard all cards from his hand. This is a pretty good black drill. If you're going to run black drills, this is one of the ones to run too, as well as those other ones I pointed out. Stop a physical attack. If you declared it, then this card stops a physical or energy attack instead. So it's an Omni block. Black Zarbon Transformation Drill. Increase your power up rating by 1. Yuck. Who would run that? Blast from the Past. Okay, we're out of the black. Alright, and it's officially 6:30, so I think I'm just going to take a break, and I'll probably do 1 style a day. Oh, I guess I can touch on Bojack, though. I want to touch on Bojack. Oh yeah, Bojack is in the Kid Buu saga, so I'll just go set, arrange by. Okay. Now when I do that, yes, they do in fact go in order by common and uncommon. What? But then they're also ordered alphabetically, at least it appears. Oh, alphabetically and in rarity, so that means probably because Bojack is going to be rare. Oh, no, he's going to be a promo. That's what he's going to be, subset. Should be. Right? Yes, here we go. Here we are. Kogu. We'll look at his ally, little peon guys. He has a physical attack doing 5 powers, or plus 5 power stages of damage, and if successful, your opponent discards a card from his hand. Oh yeah, black is savage with this. What? Energy attack doing 6 life cards of damage. If successful, discard 1 of your opponent's allies in play. Energy attack doing 6 life cards of damage. If successful, you may discard a card from your hand to choose either physical or energy combat or combat cards. Events. That means when it says combat cards, means events. For the remainder of combat, your opponent cannot use the card type unless his main personality is 5 power stages above 0 or higher. Can be useful. Physical attack doing plus 5 power stages of damage. If successful, discard 1 of your opponent's drills in play. Okay, now we're at our level 1 Bojack. It says if Bojack is your main personality, your allies can take the What? If Bojack... Oh, look at something. If Bojack is your main personality, your allies can use this constant combat power. Ah. Personalities with the Bojack Unbound subset symbol can take control of combat even if this personality is 2 power stages above 0 or higher. All of your attacks do +1 power stage of damage for each ally in play with the Bojack Unbound subset symbol. That is broke. I don't think I would ever want to ever level up. Don't get any anger. That's the idea is here. Wait, but he has it on both of them too? Oh my god. And it just gets fucking extra abilities? And it you know what? It doesn't even say that your allies that are Bojack's allies can use this power. It says your allies can use this power. So you don't even have to run these guys if you don't want, really. But you don't get that Bojack Unbound subset symbol, which it would be this. Any card that has this on it that is in play is what's going to give you a bonus for your power there. All your attacks do +1 power stages damage for each ally in play. Yeah. The Bojack amount. Take control of combat even if this is 2 power stages above 0 or higher. All your attacks do +3 power stages of damage, and life cards of damage from the attacks are removed from the game instead of discarded. Level 3 Bojack. Personalities with the Bojack Unbound subset symbol can take control of combat even if he's at 2 power stages above 0 or higher, and any attacks performed by personalities with the Bojack Unbound subset symbol are focused attacks. So, I mean, it doesn't get bad, but I think that one's probably the best still. Hello? Hey, I'm making a video. Okay, I love you. Alright, bye. So yeah, I think that about covers Bojack. Oh, at least with the exception of here we go. Since I'm assuming these should be allowed to be played still, since you can't, she's not a main personality stack, so I don't think it being named for her means you can't play it. Doing +4 power stages damage if used by Xenia for the remainder of combat. Your opponent's allies cannot take control of combat and cannot have damage redirected to them. If successful, search your life deck for an ally and place it into play at 4 power stages above 0. Seems like Bojack got the Toriyama hand job. Like, he can just fucking do everything, counter everything, beat everybody. Like what I was talking about I don't like. Kogu's Dual Strike. Doing 4 power stages of damage. If used by Kogu, this card can stop a physical attack instead. Used by Kogu, your opponent discards a card from his hand. If successful, search your life deck for an ally and place it into play at 4 power stages above 0. Pretty good. I feel like there's more of those. This is technically one, even though it's not named. +2 life cards of damage for each ally in play with the Bojack subset. Raise your anger 1 level. This card stays on be used 1 more time by an ally with the Bojack subset. Bojack's overhead toss. Does 6 life cards of damage, lower your opponent's anger 3 levels. If used by Bojack and your opponent has 5 or more non-combat cards in play, your opponent discards his non-combat cards one at a time until he has 4 non-combat cards in play. Bojack's left palm charge, doing 5 life cards of damage. If successful, attach this card to one of your personalities. While attached, any energy attacks the attached personality performs do +2 life cards of damage. Bojack's defensive shield, Bojack only. Stops an energy attack, stops all of your opponent's energy attacks for the remainder of combat, removed from the game after use. Zanya's entrapping strings. You use this card when entering combat if your main personality and at least 2 of your allies have the Bojack Unbound subset symbol. Your opponent cannot use powers and constant combat powers for the remainder of the turn. Shuffle 2 cards in your discard pile into your life deck. Bojack's Extreme Assailment. Focus energy attack doing 5 life cards of damage. Set all players' anger levels to 2. If successful, you may shuffle any of your allies that are removed from the game that have the Bojack Unbound subset into your life deck. Beto's charge, +4 power stages of damage. If used by Beto, discard one of your opponent's non-combat cards in play and capture a Dragon Ball. If successful, search your life deck for an ally and place it into play at 4 power stages above 0. Bojack's Double Palmed Blitz. Bojack only. Energy attack, doing 6 life cards of damage for the remainder of combat. Damage from your attacks cannot be prevented. If you have at least 2 allies in play with the Bojack Unbound subset symbol, this card stays on the table to be used one more time this combat. So yeah, again, when you can play a card twice, that's pretty much the same thing as them not being able to play a card once, really, but not really, because they could make you discard that card that you can play twice, and now it's like you discarded 2 cards. So I think we are at the end. Yeah, it looks like we are at the end of Bojack and Black. So, yeah, I guess tune in tomorrow for... We're going to do Cell Saga Vegeta, I believe. Oh, and my Octagon just crashed, so it's a perfect time.